Welcome to the iHemp Hour. My name is Dave Craybill. I'm with iHemp Michigan. iHemp Michigan's mission is to educate, inform, and promote the research, development, and cultivation of industrial hemp. iHemp Michigan advocates for wellness in the people and the planet through hemp, and it begins with the farmer. As usual, though, we're going to go to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and say hello to our buddy Mike Brennan from the Dark Side. How's it going, Mike?
Good. Yes, I was going to say definitely not a farmer. But we cover the folks that are above 0.3. And I've got some great news I'll share later about the way the taxes have been dispersed this year. There's all these taxes on cannabis sales, and it's a lot of money going to communities, and I'll share that later on.
Excellent. And Blaine, I see you're in your remote location again. How's it going?
I am going great. It's once upon us. The season is here. For those of you that are state fans, it's January, February, Izzo, April, May, June. So March Madness is once again here on us. So looking forward for that coming out. We're looking forward also for the upcoming educational sessions that we're doing for building with the industrial hemp material. The first one is going to be in Grand Haven, at the Grand Haven Sailing Club, Grand River Sailing Club. It's going to be on Saturday, March the 18th, starting at 8 o'clock. We're going to have registration. 9 o'clock, the event's going to go on. Great day of education to help everybody figure out what and how to use this material in their building. So that's our plan for the spring and summer. We're going to be having at least 4 of these, and then I'm going to call them field days. During the summer, we can actually come out to projects and be able to touch and feel and see how it's all going together. So we're doing our part there to help, like we always have been with education. That's our goal for this year. So
yeah, we hope to see everybody come out to those events.
Yeah. How about you, Dave? What's going on in your world?
Just enjoying it. It has not been cold enough. I'm really disappointed. We've only skated outside twice this year, so I'm bumming about that. But okay, that's okay.
You're talking to a guy that just went through 5 days with no heat, so I thought it was plenty cold.
You don't look too bad for him, Mike. You must have got a shower, so that's good.
Yeah, well, it's heat's back on, so it was wonderful. I mean, I cranked it up to like 75 and just luxuriated in the heat when it came back up. Because my condo was 45 degrees. Taking a shower, getting out of the shower at 45 degrees makes you move real fast.
Yeah.
So.
For sure.
Well, today we're going to have a great show. We're inviting our good friend Morris Beegle is going to be on here we're going to talk a lot of different topics we're going to talk about. One of them is going to be NOCO, which is coming up at the end of this month. Certainly the premier industrial hemp show that's been put on for many years. So Morris is a passionate advocate for the hemp industry and has become one of our most prominent voices in the movement to legalize and promote hemp products in the United States. He's the co-founder and president of WAFBA, We Are for Better Alternatives, LLC, a leading hemp advocacy group that aims to educate people about the benefits of hemp and advocate for the legalization of hemp products. I've known Morris for a number of years, and it's been a great pleasure to be a good friend of his. And, I guess I got to say it, ladies, he's off the market here now. Yeah.
Well, hey, thanks for the introduction, Blaine and Dave and Mike. It's good to be back with you guys. And I'm engaged to
Awesome.
Curly. Been together for 5+ years now, and looking forward to tying the knot and making it forever. So pretty happy.
That's great. We're happy for you on that for sure. So
yep, for sure.
So let's talk about what's on your mind. I guess first thing, let's talk a little bit about NOCO. You got a great lineup of speakers and exhibitors and for this year, and it's going to be at a great location.
Yeah, so we're going into our 9th year. It would be our 10th year if we didn't have to completely pause things for 2020, but we're all aware of what's in the rearview mirror there, and let's hope all that stuff stays in the rearview mirror and we can move past all of this, which has been a hindrance for the hemp industry. And, there's still a lot of promise, and we're moving to the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs, which is southern Colorado. So NOCO moves to SoCo is what we're saying. And Broadmoor's been around for 100 years, and it's 5,000-acre resort. It's got a brand new convention center and meeting space that was to open in 2020, and that got put on hold a little bit. But it was specifically built for the Space Symposium, which is the largest space symposium in the world that's been going on there since 1984, NASA and all the aerospace stuff from around the world. They're excited to have us at the Broadmoor. It provides us a venue where we can really take this conversation of health and wellness and the environment and sell it to Fortune 500 companies, corporate America. And, you know, that not that we want to be sellouts, but what we want to see is big corporations looking to adopt hemp into their supply chain from a material standpoint and an ingredient standpoint in the food supply. And, you know, with the big talk of ESG, and, you know, we see this in the political realm, you know, there's a lot of, you know, chatter about this, but, you know, corporations need to make the right decision on how they approach what they're doing to the environment and how they're operating within society. And I think that with the UN position for their sustainable development goals and how hemp plays a role in that, and they're starting to embrace hemp on a larger scale internationally, I think we've got a great opportunity the next several years to reboot hemp and get it going in the direction that we've all wanted it to go. And that's fiber and grain and materials and food and really just helping humanity and the planet. So we're excited. 3 big conferences with advocacy and policy, business and investment, agriculture and academia. And we've got folks coming in from all over the world. And we're looking to have great conversations and get the industry focused and united with one voice so we can go into the 2023 Farm Bill and make the adjustments we need to make. So we have a functioning industry that's not hamstrung by the FDA and the USDA and the FBI and the DEA and all these alphabet agencies who have seemed to just hold us back. And so I think there's a great opportunity here for the industry to come together and come up with some reasonable policy that makes sense for everyone and move this industry forward.
Get it to the point where the banks don't want to know how much THC is in my hemp frisbee.
Well, so when it comes to that, I mean,
Those
where
are
we really need to get,
frisbees, though, right? So come on, you know, go ahead.
yeah, well, it's like farmers shouldn't be liable for this. They're not liable for any other crop. And I had a long conversation with Andy Bish from Bish Enterprises, who's building equipment there in Nebraska. And he brought up an example of farmers growing sugar beets. And I don't know if you know how sugar beets are grown, because I didn't know. And even we've got a sugar factory in Loveland where I grew up, and it's been dormant for,
We grow a lot of sugar beets here in Michigan.
Right. Well, evidently to grow sugar beets, they're sprayed with arsenic. And if you eat a sugar beet as it comes out of the field, it's basically going to kill you. And so the farmer's not responsible. Farmer's not responsible for that. That goes into processing and manufacturing. By the time it gets to the shelves of King Soopers or Safeway or Whole Foods or wherever, then it's, you know, it's good for human consumption. And so that's where everything really should be regulated, is in the processing and manufacturing process, and not the farmer. The farmer shouldn't be responsible for a THC limit of 0.3 or 1% or 20%. You know, what is the end use of the product? If it's going to be for human consumption, okay, it's going to be whatever it needs to be at 0% THC or 1.1% or wherever it should be, then it's going to be there. But if it's going into paper or construction materials or bioplastic, who really cares what the THC percentage was in the field? It makes no difference. Nobody's going to smoke a brick or a wall. You know, that's just, we have to get past this absolute stupidity of how we've tried to regulate this plant.
Well, it goes back to the war on drugs with Nancy Reagan. It goes even farther back, you know. But I mean, yeah, it's an educational process. We were talking as before the show started, and obviously my side of the world, that's the whole point, is you're consuming THC, but there's so many things you can do with hemp that, you know, a very small percentage CBD or smokable flower. The rest, there's another 20,000 things you can do with hemp, right? So,
correct.
Anyways, let me interrupt too. Just say, now your conference that's coming up, are you going to be shooting that in video at all or not?
Well, we're not going to videotape all the sessions like we have in the past. Basically, like we were kind of talking before the session started here, I've got a salary cap like we all do these days. I do have various videographers and photographers going around, and we're going to capture some stuff, but being able to spend the extra $30,000-$40,000 on the video production that I've done in the past, I couldn't get it within the salary cap this year.
Yeah.
Well, there's ways to work around that. You can have a paywall on it. I know you still have to. I produce shows myself. You still have to come up with the money, and then you hope that you get at least recoup that.
Well,
But
I tried that before too, and I didn't recoup on the backside of it.
Yeah, yes. Once you produced a couple of shows that got burned, so.
But we got to keep.
But a great lineup you've got. You always have a great lineup. They get a lot of great speakers there, and so we're looking forward for that for sure. I don't know if we had the schedule up or not, but I know Dave was looking at it earlier. But so there's still time to get registered, obviously. Get your hotel. You said the hotel's getting close to being booked.
Yeah, so we've got a room block at the Broadmoor, and that discounted block is about sold out. It ends on March 6th, and it may be extended, but I doubt it. It's pretty much almost sold out. So if you haven't got a room and you want to stay at the Broadmoor, I suggest you do it like ASAP. Otherwise, we're going to have some alternative hotels that are in downtown Colorado Springs. It's only 5-10 minutes away, so it's not far, but it's still not at the Broadmoor, which is just the best venue we've ever been at. It's one of the best venues on the planet. It's the longest running 5-star resort, according to Forbes magazine, since 1960. So we're really excited, and they're excited to have us. They support the environment and stewardship, and trying to do the right thing as a facility, and they're supportive of industrial hemp and our conference coming there. So it's good.
You're talking about the growing, it's going to be great. And I think it is one of the big things that is in the Farm Bill for coming up. We got to make sure that we all talk to our representatives about that. But, like you say, if you're growing for hemp or fiber, even if you're growing CBD for something that's non-human consumption, whatever, you're right. We got to get some logic into that, saying, okay, look, we don't need to have testing it, especially if you buy from an approved seed source kind of thing. If we have to go that route, that's fine too, to help out. But I know we had some people that grew some here in Michigan that grew some fiber this last year, and it went a little hot. They were able to remediate it, is what they did. They chopped it up and then it came out lower. So, but they're going to make it into bricks. They're not going to make it into other edible products. So.
Well, the Farm Bill conversation is going to be very important. I can tell you right now that there's several organizations, associations that are putting together kind of this outline of what we all should try to support for going into the Farm Bill, and we get a consensus for all the associations. It's being worked on right now, and it'll be circulated through all the different state groups and the national groups. And the goal is, by the end of this month, that we come up with a consensus and we all agree on these 5 or 10 points to introduce into the Farm Bill. And we can go to Congress and the legislators and say, hey, the hemp industry has one voice. This is the consensus. This is what we agree on. And let's get this, past the finish line into the end zone, so we can really start growing industrial hemp on the scale that we need to moving forward the next 3, 5, 10, 20 years. And we get back into the hundreds of thousands of acres, and then into the millions of acres, and then hopefully the tens of millions of acres, a decade to 2 decades down the road. And we can be building everything or having construction materials and all new construction, and the plastic side of things, and the automotive side of things, and the food side of things, protein and animal feed, and all the verticals that we know that hemp can have an impact in.
Yeah, plus it soaks up a ton of carbon in the process.
Yeah, exactly. We can be sequestering carbon. We can be creating materials that continue to sequester carbon or carbon neutral. And we can try to make this shift that we better make, because if we don't make it, we know that everybody's going to be dead.
Well, that's a real sales.
Well, everybody is going to be dead eventually, but how long?
I was going to say, but, well, we need to improve the environment for passing it on, right? I mean, we're responsible for that, just like everything else. So, on that,
convert.
What other projects you got working on? So you got your collection of the guitars in the back there. I love seeing that.
Oh yeah, so yeah, those are all hemp guitars and hemp guitar cabinets. Industrial hemp wood, Canna Grove from Larry Serbin out at Hemp Traders. And I'm excited about the new materials coming down the pipe. You'll see more board products coming out from some of these new processors that are getting up and running now. So there's lots of cool innovation that's coming down the road.
That's awesome. Dave's got his hemp wall behind him, and one of the homes that I have a condo my brother's living in,
and a bourbon barrel, for those who like some bourbon.
I got some hemp frisbees around here that you guys made for me last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Tony.
Might have been 2 years ago. I don't know. Yeah.
Dave's got a lot of those he could move at your conference at the end of the month, right, Dave?
Yeah, I bet so.
Unprinted.
Hey, well, since we're talking about sponsors stuff, I do want to throw a shout out. I should have done at the beginning of the show. Ag Marvels and Heirloom Grow, we're going to be doing a product review a little later. They're sponsoring the shows for the next couple, so we appreciate them being our sponsor for this. So, yeah. So, are you still doing now? Well, actually, you seem to go out of state a little bit. Are you having the Cancun thing again this year? Is that being planned? Or?
It's Cabo. So, I'm not sure. I went to Thailand last year for the first annual Asian International Hemp Expo and then Environmental Forum, which was really cool. Lots of people coming in from different continents, and got to meet Ben and Alan Dronkers. Well, I've met Alan before. He's been to NOCO, but Ben Dronkers, who started Cincy Seeds and Hemp Flax. I mean, if he's truly the grandfather of cannabis, if it wasn't for that guy, and then Jack Hare coming on and being kind of the mouthpiece and the advocate and the one really driving the policy and just the public side of things. But Ben, man, that guy is he's something else. And if it wasn't for him on both sides of the plant, our industry wouldn't be where it is today. So hats off to the Dronker family. Those guys have been just true pioneers and advocates of the plant and helpers of humanity.
So is Thailand moving ahead and doing quite a bit of stuff with the industrial hemp?
Yeah, they've been actually researching it for like 20 years now. And that's supported by the king and the queen, the monarchy. And they've been supporting their small farmers and local tribes to be growing this. And then they just flipped the switch on adult use recreational back in like June of last year. And I tell you, when I was out there, there was more dispensaries in Bangkok than there were in Denver. And it's pretty crazy.
They embrace
lots of things to do in Bangkok, so we won't go into them because this is the family show. So.
It is a family show.
Yeah. So
but they had good Thai food all over the street. I can tell you that. You can't walk a block without finding, some Pang Thai or Tad Pie.
Yummy.
So you had mentioned grain a little bit ago, and I know we want to give a shout out for all the work that they're doing as U.S. Hemp Feed Coalition. We certainly appreciate their efforts, and everybody's helping work through that and get that done. So that'll be interesting.
Texas just flipped the switch on being able to allow chickens and I think horses. Montana's done it. So one state at a time until the FDA finally says, okay, we understand that this is a safe product. I mean, if we can allow sawdust and cyanide in, small amounts into additives, why can't we allow, something?
Well, you can have a certain amount of bee parts in honey, just so you know as well. So yeah, you can have that as well. So, but yeah, it will be good to have that done. It'll be nice to have that available for people. And yeah.
Well, you can go to the grocery store and buy hemp hearts. I put it in my oatmeal every morning, and but you can't feed it to your animals. I mean,
good enough for humans, but not good enough for a cow.
Yeah, makes no sense.
Even companion animals,
I had a call this week. Hey, Blaine, Pete from Whitetail Deer
Unlimited. White House Whitetails is who that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking to him this week.
I don't totally understand what he's got going on, but he's like, hey, it was a really cool week because I had a call from a farmer who had grown a bunch of CBG and CBD and was sitting on biomass, didn't know what to do, and I'm sorry, I don't have a magic wand. And then I got a call from Pete, and he's like, hey, I'm looking for a bunch of biomass. It's like, oh, hey, I know a guy. Bam. So don't hesitate to reach out. You never know where those connections will happen.
So a couple of really cool things happen. We'll talk about that for a minute. So Pete Carroll has Whitetail White House is what it is. And
Pete Carroll, not the Seahawks coach.
No, not that one.
Okay.
No, much different than that one, that's for sure. Nice guy, great guy. And if you've ever seen the animals out there, just go to the website and you'll see they grow tremendous deer, very healthy deer. And one of the things that he's been doing this past year is has been feeding the biomass from extruded. I don't think it's extracted material, but extruded material to his animals, his deer. And they've been doing tremendously well. Well, unfortunately, where he was getting it, that business is no longer extracting that way. So we're looking. So if anybody's listening out there and you do extracting and you got biomass available, get a hold of iHemp so we can get it to Pete, and maybe we can find a new home for that. So, but it's very cool what he's doing. And he says, yeah, the animals are we're doing tremendously on it, and he wants to get back feeding that. So I'm also talking to him about the protein and the cake, that's left over from when I do the oil. Those are also great protein things, but like everybody, they've got margins, that salary cap to worry about. So, so that was exciting. And then what else happened this week is I talked to a place in Minnesota that is looking for farmers to grow grain for them. And they've got a contract and they're going to pay it now. There's a cost involved getting it to Minnesota and yada, yada, yada. But if anybody's interested in that, they like to have 40 acres minimum at a time because that's a semi-full. So if anybody's looking to grow hemp for grain, give me a call and give iHemp a call, and we will get that, try to see if that doesn't work for you. So those things are all moving. I know we're going to have more fiber grown this year. Cody Lay down at Hemp for Humanity, he's going to be one of the speakers that we're going to have on the building with hemp material. They're doing a great lot of stuff with concrete and with brick, and he's going to do some tiny homes this year. So he's going to be growing some as well. So that industry is going. What we really got to get here in the States, we really got to get a processor to be able to process that fiber. So, and we're working on it.
Coming online. We're going to have like 20 fiber processors online by the end of this year. It sounds like.
Yeah, that's from the article. I read that article just a little bit ago too. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, hopefully we can make it 21 or 22 here in the state.
Hopefully we can get up to like 40 of them here in the next couple of years, and we got to keep adding them so we can have capacity. And that way, big industries, construction and plastics and the protein and the animal feed market. I mean, we got to be able to fulfill LOIs on this. And the only way we can do that is with volume, and we got to pay the farmers. The farmers have to make money. They have to have contracts.
Like Dave says at the beginning of the show, it all starts with the farmer.
Yep.
If the farmer can't grow it, nobody else can do anything else with it. So
let me ask you, Morris, real quick. Some states are really helping the hemp farmers. I think Pennsylvania is one of them that's put a lot of money into it. Michigan is not one of those. I mean, how many total states do you know are just ballpark that are providing basic money to kind of get everything started, prime the pump, as it were? Is it very prevalent?
That's a good question. We should actually try to do an article on that. I would say, obviously, Pennsylvania has done a good job. Tennessee is doing some good work right now. There's been some grant money go there. Colorado has off and on. We've got a marijuana industry that's been a bit combative with us about growing grain and stuff that will pollinate the marijuana. But we've got a governor that's supportive, and overall, there's been monies available, some out there for us. Montana has been fairly supportive. Texas looks like it wants to be supportive on the fiber and grain side. Nebraska has not been supportive. Kansas is trying to be supportive. At least there's folks out there trying to really push that. Kentucky's been a bit little, I don't know, it was and it wasn't. And North Carolina has not been very supportive of their industry. It's been challenging. So Washington hasn't been supportive. Oregon has been off and on. We need more state support. There's no doubt about that.
Rachel Berry just chimed in through Facebook that Illinois is not very helpful. And that raises a question I want to bring up earlier, Morris. What's been your experience with states that have legal cannabis and how it might affect the industrial hemp markets?
Well, the legal cannabis market, the adult use, has not helped the hemp industry. Unfortunately, we're fighting with each other because they would like to control cannabinoids, CBD included. So they've never been happy about that. And then this pollination situation, when most of these states, most of the adult use stuff is grown inside, whether that's in warehouses or greenhouses. And if they're doing that correctly, there shouldn't be really a pollination issue, particularly if you're growing it out in farmland. And now the adult use market is certainly not happy about our little intoxicating D8, HHC, and that market that's gray market. And, it's caused our own industry a lot of problems because we've always said hemp doesn't get you high. And then all of a sudden now hemp gets you high. And that was never the intention of the 2018 Farm Bill. Mitch McConnell, nobody ever thought that all of a sudden we were going to be making intoxicating products that are just like an adult use. And, you can say D8 is marijuana light. And I can tell you firsthand experience of eating some of these caramels and stuff like that, that the products that are coming out on the intoxicating cannabinoid side can get you just as high as the adult use side. And why they proliferate in most markets that are non-adult use. The adult market still is very concerned about it because they think it's biting into their side of the business. And, they need to be delineated. Industrial hemp is not intoxicating products. That is adult use. And if there's going to be another lane for these intoxicating cannabinoids from the hemp side, that needs to be figured out. I mean, I don't want to prohibit anything. I think prohibition doesn't work. I don't think anybody should be criminalized. But this all happened through a loophole. And those that are making the argument that, hey, the 2018 Farm Bill allows for this stuff, I mean, it's a bit of pretzel logic there. And folks have got there. And again, I don't want to see things shut down. We just have to figure it out. It's all one plant. You've got adult use. That's their lane. You've got industrial use. That's our lane. And you've got this other stuff. And is there another lane for that? I guess so. But again, we all have to get underneath the same roof in the same room to figure this out. And if we can figure it out as an industry, then we have to figure it out with Capitol Hill and state capitals and all this stuff. And we already know where that's going because we've got state regulations that are all over the board on this stuff. And it's just really a cluster at this
point. In Michigan, if you consume it, if it's the CBD or if it's smokable hemp or anything along those lines, it falls under the purview of the Cannabis Regulatory Agency. And so that's a recent thing. I think it just started. Was it last year, guys?
Last year. So it's any processor falls under that, right? The farming part of it still stays with MDART, but any of the processing side falls. So
that's your third lane, sort of. Is it that then it gets controlled by the folks that control THC and cannabis and all that jazz? So I don't know. We're actually going to have Brian Hanna on my show next week. He's the director of the Cannabis Regulatory Agency. I may bring that up with him and see how that's working out, because I think that I don't know. What are you guys hearing, Dave and Blaine, on that? Are people having issues with that or what?
I'm not hearing too many issues with it, but but there are issues.
How many people are growing? I mean, there's not that many people to have an issue anymore. It's not like
the intoxicating cannabinoid thing. I can tell you doesn't. From a farmer standpoint, that's not doing anything good for the farmers. And if the hemp industry is about helping farmers, the intoxicating cannabinoid industry, other than taking care of all the excess biomass that was out there, that did take care of them. And so that's the good side. But that is a result of the FDA not doing their job in the first place when Congress gave them the job in the 2018 Farm Bill to regulate this as a dietary supplement in the food and beverage additive. And they haven't done it, and they've kicked it down the can down the road, and now it's back to Congress. But another lane that we didn't mention yet, and that's the pharmaceutical lane, and that's the puppet master that's back there taking the FDA and saying, hey, let's just keep this, like it is. And, these people are eventually going to burn out and, run out of money. And that's what they've been doing. And so when it all comes down to it, the pharmaceuticals companies, the Pfizers of the world who invested $6-7 billion in the last
I'm just going to
year.
mention, I was going to pull that story up. They just spent $6 billion to buy a cannabis company.
And so all you folks out there that are like pro Pfizer and they're here to save the world with vaccines and stuff like that, well, you keep on chanting that because you're wrong. These guys are not here for our own human health and our benefit. And they're the largest advertisers of CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox, and all the media, and they do own it. They control the narrative. They control the messaging. And those of you that are buying into it, especially in the cannabis industry, it just baffles the mind. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, here we have a natural anti-inflammatory that you can grow in your backyard, process yourself at home, and it works. We can't talk about it working. That's not allowed. We can't share that publicly, how well it works. And these companies that make the expensive drugs that are anti-inflammatory, they can do whatever they want because they've paid the right people, I guess, right?
Yeah, Pfizer $6.7 billion acquisition of a company called Cannabis Pipeline. So the theory is on our side of the point three is that if it goes federally legal in all 50 states or descheduled or whatever the heck they do, all the big players are going to rush in. And you're going to see the Pfizers, you're going to see big liquor, you're going to see, big everything coming in and swooping down and buying up all the smaller operations, even the bigger operations. A lot of these, we have some pretty big operations in Michigan. Loom is one in particular that has 30 dispensaries open. And so would they be interested in selling for billions of dollars to some big company? Of course they would, so.
Well, big tobacco's coming in too. I mean, if anybody knows how to scale smokable materials, it's big tobacco. And then we already know that Philip Morris and Reynolds and all those companies, they're there, they're ready.
Oh, they've already trademarked a bunch of names already. Yeah. They're just poised waiting for something to happen nationally,
Yeah. So whatever delivery system people want, if it's gummies or capsules or whatever, so the big players are going to come in and dominate and buy up everybody once that's
absolutely
once it's legal.
That's actually the game plan for a lot of these companies in Michigan is to build it up, and then some bigger players are going to come along, stamp us up, we'll walk away, buy an island or something, the American dream, right? Yep.
Hey, let's take a 2-minute break. I just want to thank our sponsor this week. I've got their website queued up. It's our buddies, Ag Marvels. They have this product line, Heirloom Grove. And they won, Blaine, they helped me out here. They won a Hempies Award for their Muscle Freeze. Is that the one?
They have, yep. Yes, they have.
Their Hempies Award. Made with somebody we met at your show last year or the year before, Morris, that does the 3D printing of hemp plastic.
Oh, Hemp 3D that does the sunglasses?
Yeah, we had these guys make our Hempies Awards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I have one here I can show you. But so big thanks to Mike. Big thanks to Mike Klump and the crew for supporting our efforts. It makes a difference. So
well, you guys were talking about things that work, right? And I want to talk about Heirloom Grove a little bit. Jamie and Mike, great people, been very supportive of the industry, and their Muscle Freeze, I use this routinely. I know we got others on there. Dave makes a product too that's really good. But this stuff really works for me. I put it on, and about 10 minutes later, it just kind of numbs it up and kind of goes away for a while if I forget that I had a pain there. So.
And our grandkids love it.
Well, I'll jump in and say, I use kind of the muscle freeze type stuff, CBD brands that are out there. And while the brands aren't supposed to be able to make claims and everything, I can say as a consumer that I have found great relief with many of the muscle freezes and muscle bombs and stuff like that. I use that on a regular basis, and it does work.
Yeah, I'm nearly 61. I play ice hockey about 3 times a week, and all my buddies, they help support my my hemp efforts. Here's one of those Hempies awards that were
Nice.
So this was last year.
We'll be doing them again this summer sometime, where we're going to do that again. We're going to keep that going to recognize people that are doing unique things and things in the hemp world. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to thank them. So, yeah.
All right, so cool.
Rachel, since Rachel's listening, Rachel, I wanted to mention you have a meeting coming up, I know, for the Illinois growers. So if you could put in the chat to Dave when that is, because the one I've got is your legislative conference, March 29th. But I think there's another meeting you've got coming up that we want to talk about. So see if she can text that in there for us.
All right, cool.
Yeah. And I also want to thank Shisham. We had on the show last time, and so these are a pair of the socks I got.
All right,
and, they're awesome. They're awesome. I wore them yesterday, and man, they are comfy. That's for sure. They are wonderful. So thank you very much.
Lifetime warranty on socks or something. That's what she said, right?
What's that?
Lifetime warranty on the socks. She said
I don't know if she said whose lifetime though.
Yeah, right. You know, 7-year-olds forget it. You know, but
they've also got a great beanie that if it was in the early part of the year, I probably would have ordered one. But so they got a great beanie that they do too. So
those are the shimps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The she humps.
Is that what
the she in them? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's coming out to NOCA. We went back and forth. And she's mixing that with, what is it, wool or alpaca or
wool? Yep.
Yeah. Wool. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
And they are comfy. I wanted to get just the ankle length, but she didn't have those in my size. But they are comfy. That's for sure.
Nice.
I'm going to give her the test. I'm going to see if I can wear them out. So,
Hey, Dave, I like your NOCO shirt, by the way.
Yeah, I thought I'd wear that for you. Yep. I love it. Yep.
I've got a Burning Woolman hemp shirt on here, so this one's been worn quite a bit.
Yep. Yeah. That's good
so
stuff.
What are you seeing, Morris, you do kind of things, a lot of things on a larger picture. You see a larger picture, especially in Thailand and others. So what are you seeing in, I guess, in the bigger picture of everything happening in the world with this?
Well, I think that there's going to be a lot of innovation coming down the pipe. I don't know if you probably saw the global fiber processing new load-bearing hemp cinder block thing that just popped up in the press the last couple of weeks. So, the load-bearing thing has always been something mentioned with hempcrete isn't load-bearing. And I think you'll see a lot more construction innovations. Hempitecture just opened up their facility in Idaho to do their hemp wool. I really see a lot of opportunities in the construction side of things. And if there's an industry that needs to be decarbonized, it's certainly that industry is one of them.
Well, it's a lot healthier too.
Right. And I think, the textiles industry globally could certainly use a lot more materials from the hemp side because fashion industry has got so much impact as far as ending up in the ocean and the landfills. And a lot of that stuff is made with synthetic, petroleum-based fibers and stuff like that, when we should be utilizing, organic cotton and hemp and other naturally grown fibers. The plastics industry, and while, it'd be nice to eliminate plastics altogether, but at least from like the composite side and the automotive industry, we're not going to get rid of vehicles and transportation. And can we replace a lot of these materials like they are in Europe with BMW and Mercedes and stuff that are replacing their car paneling with natural hemp, flax, composite materials. I think that there's opportunities there. I think we can replace a lot of more toxic materials with hemp materials.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of room for innovation coming down the road, and opportunity for those that are smart and innovative to jump into this and make an impact in the next 5, 10, 20 years.
I remember last year seeing the article of the 3D hemp printing that they were doing in the building. And so it'd be interesting. I haven't followed up on that, but I'd like to, hopefully we're going to be able to talk about that at some of our educational sessions to learn more about it. But Hempitecture hopefully is going to come on and be one of our sponsors and promote their product there too. So we're looking forward to that. And I'm going to try to do the other side of the garage that I'm going to try to insulate with the bats this time.
I think there's a lot of innovation opportunities in food as well. And I don't know if you saw also that Chad Rosen, Victory Hemp, just got a patent on their V70 protein powder, as well as their V1 hemp seed oil, which with that process basically refines it to a point where it's pretty much tasteless. So from a formulator standpoint, it can really go into anything, and then you can flavor it from there with various seasoning. And the vegan protein market is only going to get bigger and bigger, and I'd certainly rather it be with real ingredients rather than kind of this lab-based Beyond Meat and Impossible Burger stuff that's produced. That's not that A, it's not good for the environment, and B, it's not good for human health. And vegans that sit there and say, "Hey, we're trying to save the world by eating Impossible Burger," it's like, well, no, you're not. It's like, you're anti-meat, and certainly the huge factories of animals and stuff are not good, but we need to turn our farming around and get back to regenerative agriculture. And it's not the cow, it's the how, like all the regenerative folks like to say, and grazing and rotating crops and not monocropping and not spraying the soil with a bunch of stuff. And we need good, healthy food coming out of the ground, and I think hemp is certainly a ingredient of the future when it comes to that.
And a good fungi base without all that tilling. So at NOCO, are you bringing in the fungi again?
There's going to be some fungi stuff there for sure. I mean, mushrooms are another thing that, not psychedelic mushrooms, although those are great too, and they should be legalized everywhere. And yay for Colorado and Oregon for taking the step forward on that. But when it comes to just overall functional mushrooms, food and amendment materials and stuff like that, it's a super important element to the survival of our species.
I've seen where they can basically grow styrofoam packaging, and that just blows me away. You just throw it out in the yard and it composts. It's like, because I've helped with river cleanups, and if you've ever tried to capture styrofoam that's floating in a river, it's not easy to do, and it really makes a mess, and it doesn't go away. I mean, it's a problem that we need to address.
There's a company called Ecovative. They're either in New York or Pennsylvania, but they are a mushroom-based packaging company, and I think styrofoam replacement and various packaging, which is a great alternative. If you throw that stuff in the landfill or compost it or whatever, and it's not bad for the environment.
We'll give them a free little plug, because I think this is really important.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I think it's just amazing.
Yep, exactly. That stuff, it's not just all hemp. I mean, how can we do things better with other materials? There's bamboo, there's mushrooms, there's canaf, there's flax, and growing things correctly and not spraying a bunch of chemicals on there that's going to kill the soil and impact our health if we consume it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, clearly, our industrial processed diet is not doing us any good. I have a question, though. I want to jump on another topic. We're talking about farmers and regulation. One of the things, and I haven't heard anything from the state yet, but they approached, the state of Michigan approached us. They're, kicking around the idea of maybe throwing the program back to the USDA. Do you have any insight on that, as far as, just to give you context? in the state of Michigan, they wanted the program to be self-funding. So in order to have the privilege to grow hemp, you have to give them $1,250, I believe it is, for a grower's license.
If you're timely.
$1,250. You know, from what I understand, the USDA doesn't charge a fee. You know, you still have to do some testing. But have you seen, you know, I know Wisconsin flipped back to the USDA. Have you seen other states, and what are your feelings on that?
Well, if we're going to do it like any other crop, like corn and soy, the farmer shouldn't have to pay an annual fee to grow hemp, and you shouldn't have to test the crop. And so like the grain and fiber exemption that was been put out there by, you know, a group of folks. You know, how do we get it so farmers don't have to register with the state and be looked at with criminal background checks and having to pay these fees and having to pay testing throughout the year? It's like, it should be treated just like any other crop. And maybe the cannabinoid side, if you are growing for CBD or CBG or whatever else, that is going to be regulated a little bit differently. And in my mind, it really shouldn't be, but maybe that's going to be the case. But I think that in the end, states aren't going to be able to afford to have their own hemp programs. I mean, Colorado, we've lost a bunch of operators that aren't paying these fees now. And I think North Carolina flipped. It's like these state programs don't want to pay for it. Farmers don't want to pay for it. It should just be run by the USDA, just like any other crop. And the state departments of agriculture just look at it like corn or soy or wheat or hay or alfalfa or anything else.
Yeah.
That would sure simplify things quite a bit. That's for sure.
It does. You know, we should have one federal program, and it should be easy to manage for everybody. And again, farmers shouldn't have to be concerned about their stuff going hot and having to destroy their crop or going to jail because they're growing marijuana. And it's like, it's just a plant. It's just another crop.
Don't be scared of a plant.
Don't be scared of a plant. They want us to be scared of everything.
Oh, so I'm getting old, right? But you know, so it seems like everything, my memories, everything was like 40 years ago. We were talking, you know, when we were kids, we had so much freedom. I mean, you know, and you know, compare that to children today and the little bubble that they grow up in and mostly in this little screen here. I mean, they're different. They're wired different. I mean, we're evolving fast. It feels like
we are
changed.
Yeah. I grew up on a 17-acre farm until I was like 11 years old, and just go outside and play on the farm with chickens and cows and horses and horse shit in the field and wipe it on my friend's face. And, you know, those were the good old days.
Yeah. Natural immunities. Yeah.
Burn down the haystack.
When you eat the dirt, you get all that immunity. That's right.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I'm sure our parents said the same thing, right? But you know, so things change, evolve. You know, it's a different world. You know, we just have to make the best of it and try and live more in harmony with the earth than against it, because ultimately it's going to win.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Rachel had put something up in the chat. I saw, or maybe Dave, you did.
Yeah, I did. It's on March 15th. There's a hemp summit after party, she says. I don't know what exactly the details, but go to ihempmichigan.com, go to the contact page, send us your email, and we will send you an update. So how's that?
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Morris, I want to thank you very much. Your advocacy work and entrepreneurial endeavors have certainly moved the hemp industry forward, and we appreciate all that hard work that you do and keep doing.
Well, thanks. Everybody plays a role. It takes a village or multiple villages, and you know, an army, and hopefully we can get more and more folks involved to continue down this path and advocate for the right thing, which I think that we all are. And The vast majority that's in this movement, I think, are advocating for the right thing. So, yeah, thanks for what you guys are doing. Putting out these, live stream podcast things, bringing on good guests. All of it's important. A lot of good voices out there.
We've done almost 120 of these, over 110 episodes, and there's just the amount of content, amount of things we've learned over the last few years. It's pretty mind-blowing when you go back and reflect on it. It's been an interesting journey.
Sure.
And people like you that encourage us and keep us going. So thank you, Morris.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I do have
still available.
If you want some blank Frisbees, I got a deal for you. Just give me a call.
He's got
So, okay, are those easy to print as they are? Would I like a screen printer? Basically, could just print those, right?
Maybe. Call me.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about that. I might take some of those off your hand.
I would love that. I could bring you a whole van full of them if you want.
Yeah, there you go.
See, if you do that, Dave, maybe it'll come out to the show then, maybe.
Yeah.
Another hemp item to screen print. So let's, I'll talk to my screen printer about that today, because I'm doing a bunch of hoodies and shirts for NOCO right now.
Yeah, ideally, what works best is an ultraviolet printer.
An ultraviolet printer.
Mm-hmm. But
give them a sunburn.
We can deal with that, but let's talk about the recipe. We have a hemp recipe.
We do.
We have news too. If you want me to delete it,
I thought we'd talk to Mike first, because Mike and I want to thank you, Mike. I like your new Sparks and Recreation. I've been catching that. That's great magazine.
Yeah. We have a cannabis tourism digital publication we launched in December, and it's starting to take off. But anyway, what I want to talk about, speaking of taking off, is the taxes from the cannabis sales in Michigan were distributed, came out to $60 million going to counties and local governments. And for every dispensary that's in one of these, wherever they are, whether city, county, whatever, $51,800 went to that particular government entity. Now, in Ann Arbor, where we have 40 dispensaries, the city of Ann Arbor got $2 million from the taxes. So that'll make them happy, I'm sure, right? Wow. And but anyway, there was like I say, big money from the excise taxes that gets charged on all marijuana sales. And that I mentioned before the show, we picked up a story from the Legal Journal where it speculates that the U.S. Supreme Court may make marijuana legal nationally, which I find kind of hard to believe. But if you get a chance, go to 420post.com, check that story out. They make logical, a case that it should happen, but politics are always involved in everything, right? And then those are kind of the highlights. I thought, any of the municipalities that are still dragging their feet about licensing at least one dispensary, $52,000, coming to you free money seems like a pretty good deal to me. I'd love to be. I could maybe register as Mike Brennan City or something, get that $52,000, right? So
yeah, I don't think so.
No, I don't. Yeah, probably not. They probably wouldn't go for that, right? So all right, that's the main highlights I have. The money was dispersed is announced on Tuesday. It's getting dispersed right now, and like I say, 40 dispensaries in Ann Arbor were the heart of this. Speaking of which, Hash Bash is on April 1st as well. So we'll have thousands of marijuana enthusiasts coming to town. So more sales.
I might come hang out with you, Mike.
Okay, sure. My door's open. We get that fun guy, Blaine too. He could come along, So
I always like to be going to a good party. You know how that goes. Talk about parties. Nice running into you and Rick at the Mardi Gras party.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a little smaller than what I expected. I mean, it's like everything else. Everyone's cutting back. The industry we've become just like Colorado and Washington and California. We're just got way too much supply right now and not enough sales. And so the prices have just tanked. And a lot of companies that were heavily leveraged and figuring on $4,000 a pound flower in their business plans are now looking at $1,200 a pound flower, and so those business plans are crashing right now. So
Could be worse. It could be $500 or $400, like in some
Yeah,
other
I may be
places.
headed that
Well,
way.
Really?
Actually, I talked to I help do some of these compliance things that people need in the marijuana side to grow the small plants and sell them, and they were talking about prices being much lower than that they're dealing with now. So
The race to the bottom.
Pretty much, yeah. And just it's just a question of, that's what I'm saying. It's like for companies that want to come in and pick up one of these operations. It's interesting opportunities. The old Wall Street, buy low and sell high thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it's a question of the investors getting no money or some money, I think the investors would go with some money. So there's some real opportunity there for people to acquire some very good assets at very low prices.
awesome. Well, again, Morris, I want to thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule, and we hope to see you out at NOCO. And folks, if you haven't been to that event, it's a great event. So get your tickets now and get out there and see a premier show for sure. I want to thank Ag Marvels for their sponsoring of the show. Did my cup show up? Anyway, Ag Marvels and Heirloom Grove. Today, this product we did was the CB Muscle Freeze that we talked about. They've got a whole line of products on their site. So you go to Heirloom Grove, I'm sure you can find a lot of great products there. They do a good job with everything. So, all right, Dave, anybody else? Mike, anything?
Thanks, gentlemen. It's been great. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
This is the fun part of the show. It's what everybody really, really waits for is this. I know they do.
This is the highlight of the show, Morris. So
yes, absolutely. So, we talked about March Madness at the start of the show. It's coming up here. Next week, we got the Big Ten Championship in Chicago. And then after that, Selection Sunday, and away we go. So get your office pools going. And got a couple friends of mine that have the betting on the chart kind of thing. So what am I talking about? I'm trying to say.
We're going to talk about the recipe, Blaine?
Yeah, we'll talk about the recipe. I'll talk about basketball later. Stuffed mushrooms is where we got. This makes 6 to 8 servings. 24 medium to large button mushrooms you need for this. 2 to 3 tablespoons of hemp seed oil. You can cross that virgin oil out of there and put hemp seed oil in there. It's much better that way. 3 to 4 cloves, fresh garlic minced, 2 to 3 shallots, zest of lemon, a little parsley if you like that for a green color. The rest of it's there. You preheat the oven to 357 and you wipe the mushrooms clean with a damp paper towel, remove the stems, and put all that mix into it. Put it in the oven, put some breadcrumbs on it, and it is a yummy, yummy hors d'oeuvre to have at any of your highlight and any of your parties you're going to. So
you saute them up, eh? There you go.
Yeah.
Send me that recipe. I want that. Can you email that to me?
It's right on ihempmichigan.com/recipes.
Oh, okay.
There is a bunch of them in there, like 100 of them now. So,
holy smokes.
Yeah. And this is I like to credit where credit's due because some of these are not my recipes. This one we got from the Hemp Nut Cookbook, which has a lot of great recipes in it for cooking with hemp. All right.
All righty.
That's the show.
Or if you just go ihempmichigan.com stuffed mushrooms, it looks like that'll get you right there, Morris.
All righty. Perfect.
Awesomeness. And Morris, again, congratulations to you. We hope you happy bliss for sure, and your bride to be.
Yeah.
Let us know when the party is, because I hate to miss a good party, and I'm sure that one's going to be a good party. So.
Oh yeah, we're gonna throw a couple of parties, different sides of the country, and maybe one in Mexico too. We'll have to
All right.
All right.
Well, thanks everybody. We appreciate taking time out of your day to watch us. And
all right,
peace
peace
and
love.
guys.
All right. Peace and love.